And we're back. So, Antaeus, you had some research and some answers that you wanted. And you're going to use up one of your books, so you can write down in your book. You can write down that the name of your book is, it is related to the Ebb. So the Ebb is, I think I've given it a couple of different names if you guys haven't noticed throughout the game. But the Ebb is this giant spiral out here. It is basically a point at which, like, arcane energy gets kind of wonky and weird. A lot of people have theorized a number of things about what the Ebb could be, but none have ever really been able to journey close enough to it to truly understand it. Arcanists have spent their time looking at it from afar, using various arcane tools to try to look into it, to peer into it. But it's always different when they look into it. Many have used clairvoyance to see upon the area, but it always comes out with a new and different image each time they look upon it. Some have said they've seen cities there. Some have said they've seen people wandering about. Some have said they've seen giant stone pyramids within it. People have seen many, many different things when they try to look to the center of the Ebb. And as you're looking through the new notes that you have pouring in over the pages of the book, can I get you, I believe innately what this does, it gives you a bonus on your knowledge check, correct?
Something to that effect. It
forgot the name of the spell.
Page Bound Epiphany.
Thank you.
A +1, well, it does a little more than that, but you can spend up to 1 round per caster level reading the notes. You may set any time. When you do, you can immediately attempt a knowledge check with a +1 circumstance bonus for each round you spend studying the book, maximum +10.
Yeah, so do you want to read it to the fullest extent?
If I can, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you will get so this will give you a +5 total.
Some useful information about the person who made it. Oh, my jaw. Where's this at?
And this will be knowledge. Okay, you're gonna drink you're gonna have the cognition going as well.
Yep.
Good. All right.
You said knowledge or not arcana.
History or geography.
Would this be just to one of them? I'm assuming
it'll be. Yeah, you'll just be picking one of them. So if you have one that's higher, I would do the one that's higher.
They're both the same.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of which would be the information that I would want more. I guess history probably.
A lot of this is going to be blurred together. So, it's choosing history. Yep, rolling the d6 with a +5. That's 30. No, sorry, not 30. That is 26. That's still a respectable roll.
Or a 7, I suppose. So
you'll read that the Ebb is... The effects of the Ebb used to be relatively contained. Actually, the founding of Wusser is based on the Ebb itself. They founded this to be a place to study magic and the way that magic functions. It's like a place where wizards and arcanists and various other scholars of arcane magic go to learn many of the deep and complex secrets that have to do with magic. And the Ebb is a great place to learn and test weird, unique permutations of these magics. And as of late, the maps that are marked currently mark this as roughly what they've discovered the Ebb to be. However, many people are starting to report seeing the effects of the Ebb reaching out much further than it used to. With some even saying that Wusser is actually currently being directly affected by the Ebb.
What do I know about the way that arcane magic works within the world.
So give me a knowledge arcana.
I think you know what I'm trying to get at, but I don't want to.
Oh, damn. How abridged do you want this to be? Because with a 34, I could really break down for you my system of how magic works, but I don't think everybody necessarily wants to hear it.
So I know about ley lines, I'm guessing.
Yes, you know about ley lines.
Taking note.
You know about ley lines and how they
how
they run throughout the world, and intersection points cause points of additional magic to be accessible. That most people get their magic through the ley lines. Most arcane casters gain magic from ley lines as kind of like pulling their energy into their body. And it's actually the process of part of their body and part of the magic being blended together that finalizes the spell, which is part of how your magic works differently. You don't pull the magic into you, you're physically taking the magic out of the ether around you and applying it to the bottle, and then adding yourself to the bottle, and that creates the mutagen, or drinking it, or not mutagen, or drinking it, which then blends it with your bodily fluids, and that then bonds the magic to you. And that's actually why when you create the ones for other people, you have to put a little bit of yourself into them to make them stable, because when you harness arcane energy, when you harness ether is harnessed by an individual and must be carried over in some way, or must be made stable by retaining the individual's mark in it, their sort of inner essence. You need kind of like, it's like a stabilizing, the person acts as like a stabilizing compound for the arcana. And other people who don't understand how this works can't quite do the same thing that you can with it, because it takes a little bit of like biting into your lip to get just the right amount of blood and spit into the mixture, with a little bit of like skin cell to make sure it turns out just right. What are they doing?
They're giggling because of your choice of words.
I don't know if it's like that, or the fact that the kids in the back are like doing some kind of like Broadway theater show.
Talking about spitting and...
Look, I'm just glad that they're entertaining themselves for like 5 minutes and not screaming in my ear.
No, but what do I know about ley nexuses then, I suppose?
So nexi are basically points at which the lines must intersect, and a single intersection point is no big deal. A multi-intersection point is where things can get very powerful. This ebb doesn't seem to have that pattern necessarily. Something else is going on. In order to create an effect this large, an arcane effect this large, there must be a very powerful nexus there, but something else has to be like getting into it to create this problem. And that's where you assume most people are trying to theorize what's going on here. From some of the estimates you would have, you would say like it's possible that like some kind of dark ritual was done there, where like people were either killed in mass to some god on an arcane site, and it's a strong point of both arcane and divine energy blending on itself along with these spirits that would have been bound to that location. That's one potential theory for what could happen there. Another is that a number of spellcasters tried to gain great arcane power there, and in doing so, like, tied themselves to the land. And what it actually is the remnants of their existence, sort of haunting the ether itself. A lot of the theories, though, that you can come up with do have something to do with like life being kind of imbued into it, and you'll know that that's a lot of the theories that people have about the ebb in the first place. Is that in some way, shape, or form, something is affecting this in a way that it seems interactive, it seems growing, it seems alive in some ways, but also not alive in the same way that people are alive, but more alive in the way that like it seems to take actions at its own whims and its own wills.
It seems to have its own wills and...
Yes.
Interesting. Just for clarity, though, as far as being an alchemist, I don't have any innate magical abilities, correct? Like it's not, I don't draw magic through me. So
No, an alchemist has learned that you don't always have to pull magic through yourself in order to make it manifest. You can simply like swipe it from the air or swipe it from the earth or swipe it from other compounds in order to create the arcane effects that you can create.
So theoretically, if I were in that area and I did do something with the magic, I wouldn't have to, like, especially with it being around at least in Lay Nexus, I wouldn't have to worry as much about absorbing too much energy into my body.
So, yeah, with a Knowledge Arcana, you would know that you wouldn't directly have to worry about it, but you're trying to channel it into a very small device, and so you have to worry about whatever you're channeling here not having its own side effects. If Arcana can blow up someone from the inside when it's too much, it can also, if you harness it in a small location, could also act like its own concussive object. That's part of how your bombs work. They're a little bit of Arcana blent with a lot of like things go boom.
So I guess I would need to see if... I guess I should... We're going in the morning. It's probably pretty late. There's probably not any place that's open. I guess ultimately for like the extracts and stuff, I don't inherently need to use a specific kind of container or anything, do I?
No.
Okay. So I could potentially start to shop around for some kind of container that would be able to... I don't know if I'd be able to find anything, but that would be able to harness or like hold a larger portion of magic.
Yeah, you know that people have made like vials and other various things that are more either reinforced or maybe have different properties to them. The vial industry is like it's a very big industry in terms of alchemy. And so you can find a wide variety of things, but they act differently. Like, for example, if you're going to buy a very reinforced vial, you're not going to be able to use it as like a vaporous vial because it won't shatter. The whole point of it is not to shatter. And so you're not going to be able to throw it and have it explode and give a benefit. You're going to throw it and it's going to hit somebody and they're going to be like, ow, Antaeus, what the fuck are you doing?
Well, my thought process is if we do end up over in that area, if I would be able to like harness some energy into it to be able to try to study it to some degree, or I don't know how long it would stay in there or anything like that.
Yeah, that's going to take a lot of experimentation.
Yeah, so I figured at the very least I could probably buy something for a couple gold or, whatever, and then I should make sure I have gold to even buy anything. I believe I was notoriously poor. Oh no, I do have plenty of money right now. Excellent. That's something I'll do in the morning. I'll kind of like shop around and see if there's anything that, whatever the best within a reasonable price range would be.
Well, the first thing you'll need to do in the morning, though, is everybody's going to need to get breakfast and report for work.
Also, before I go to sleep, I'll go do this. Whenever I'm getting ready to go to sleep, I'll go ahead and, not hallucination. I suppose I'll do a lucid dream.
Okay.
Just kind of mess around in that for a little while. I don't expect anything much to come of it, but I figure it would be a very interesting thing to experience.
No, it's a very nice sensation. There is stuff that you can do here, you'll know. But this being kind of your first time sort of controlling your dream, there's not too much you'll be doing except just kind of trying to figure out what the permutations and what the allowables are within the dream realm inside of you.
Exactly. Oh, also before I go to sleep, I wanted to use that.
Being very careful.
No. That's what I'm going to be doing every night if I have the spell points for it.
Okay.
Just in case I forget to mention that.
So this is a very super important question. Okay. So Ivy, are you heading to work from someone else's house or your own house?
I think I would probably go back to my own house sometime in the middle of the night.
Okay. Ooh, that's important then. Hold on.
Oh. Wait, would like I would ask Sigmar, like, is it dangerous or is there any reason I should be like worried leaving here in the middle of the night?
So Zigmar's would tell you that like he doesn't think for someone like you, it's a very dangerous place. If you were, say, like Niev or Antaeus, like he might be a little bit more worried. But you seem to be able to handle yourself.
He doesn't mention anything about anything happening in his area.
Actually, he will bring that up. Thank you for the reminder. He will bring up, though, that I'm a little uncertain as of late, though. There are a lot of witches. And I know they've been doing stuff in the evening.
Alright, I'll be cautious then, and I'll just stay till and leave from there in the morning to head to work.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so you guys meeting up for breakfast at the usual spot, or... Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I am. I don't know if anybody's coming with me, but I am.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
You can all meet for breakfast.
Ivy, are you wearing the same clothes you were wearing yesterday?
But you have to make a perception check to notice that. Come on now.
She
Okay,
would, because
okay.
she didn't interact with you at all yesterday.
Well, I mean, I saw her fighting.
Oh yeah, I guess that's... No, that was yesterday. Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, Doug, are you wearing a different outfit?
I just have a lot of similar looking clothes, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
The kiddo agrees.
I will let it go. I'm not over here like gonna press for details if she's like, yeah, I just have a lot of similar looking clothes.
Okay.
I'm still wearing my powder blue suit, though.
Is there anything else that the four of you want to discuss over breakfast, or?
I don't think so.
I wonder what our next assignment's gonna be.
Well, it sounds like we might have a couple of options. One of which potentially might bring us to the east. So I've been doing some research on it, and it seems very interesting, especially this ebb thing. A lot of odd magic happening there. If you'd like, I have a book, and I'll kind of put it down and I'll show it to her.
Oh.
Some notes in here if you would like to look at it at some point. But
Yeah.
Goron, you've talked to gods before, right? Right? I know you said like Sascha didn't talk to you for a while, but like you've talked. They've like talked to you in ways, right?
Well, of course. I'm a cleric after all.
Have you ever had someone talk to you that wasn't a god?
You mean like right now?
No, like in your head.
I believe that magic does exist.
I'm assuming you mean while you're awake, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Taya spoke to me in a dream once, and other times I believe there's magical ways for people to communicate in your head.
I had that effect on people.
I don't have... Oh yeah, actually I do have this ability. It's a
Yeah, you
clerical
talked to
spell.
Ninoslav and he got mad because you didn't respond.
Yes, sorry, I forgot. I just recently got that power. Yes, it's it's one of my strongest spells. I can now communicate with people over any distance. And then you would hear my voice in your head.
But like, if you were
limiting, though.
doing that, wouldn't you like say who you are?
With this spell, I believe who was speaking to you is known to you. And it's very limited though. You only can speak 25 words or less. So.
Is that over any distance, you said?
Yes, even across planes sometimes it has a chance to fail, but can still work.
Gremlins aren't talking to you, are they?
No, what's a gremlin?
You don't want to know.
Oh.
But do let us know if you do have that problem.
Okay. I vaguely paid attention the other day when you were giving us that religious lesson, but could you give me like cliff notes on paper later on the ones you didn't mention during that lesson?
Yes, so why?
I'm just curious.
Perhaps either the mistress or Thoth has been speaking to her.
Why would you say that?
Well, I mean, they've spoken to you, haven't they?
They have.
Well, I'm just basing it off personal experience that they have spoken to people, so it would not be out of the realm of possibility that they would be able to speak to another person. I haven't heard of any other gods, at least not recently, speaking to anyone.
They seem to be the most
Actually,
chatty.
give me a knowledge religion. A 13 is enough to at least know that you would have to add to that list Lars. Lars is a very active speaker, and lots of followers of Ryoshin say they are constantly hearing the voice of Ryoshin in their head.
Yes, Lars also is a very active speaker. Is it specifically amongst his followers or just in general?
It is amongst people that he believes are like prime examples of what Lars is about.
People that seem to be prime examples of his followings and teachings, even if they're not necessarily followers of him. Ryoshin, well, those people that follow Ryoshin tend to hear Ryoshin speak to them, or so they say. That there's a lot of studying that needs to be done there to prove or disprove that, but take that with a salt lick, I suppose.
That's a weird expression.
Well, instead of a grain of salt, an entire... No? Okay. Anyways.
So, we're gonna probably be gone for a while, is that right?
Well, we haven't spoken any of Needleslav yet, but I think it's a safe assumption we'll probably be gone for a little bit.
I was wondering, do you guys know of any, like, needy people that I could, like, give my food away to? I don't want it to go bad in my home.
There's a whole district of people that are less fortunate than others. It is a lower class district, right, Steve?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's basically what Zigmar's runs.
Well, perhaps if we have time, you can show me that district. I mean, I would hate to have food go bad when there are people that are hungry.
Very noble of you. I can help if you want.
I would appreciate that.
Okay. Yeah, so you can all enjoy your breakfast, wrap up discussions, and head on into work. Work, wonderful, wonderful work. You arrive. Ninoslav is in the place he usually is when you get here, waiting to speak to the four of you. And yeah, you can meet with him around the big table. He will close the door though this time, and he will seal off the room with a number of words and runes. And he will take out that book and lay it down on the table. This is proving quite a problem that we're not able to deal with well. This book, it is one of the hardest mysteries I think we've ever seen. It's magic, protecting magic. But that's not all that we have going on. That creature that you stirred up to the west, we've had reports of its scouts moving around the outskirts of Knightsbridge to the west on the roads. We're not sure why. We don't want to bring any alarm up, but we have had to restrict travel out to the west.
Wasn't there something... Oh, I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I was going to say, wasn't there something that... I'm looking over at Ente. Wasn't there something that he said that if he didn't get, that he would be looking for?
Yes, there's a a book he was looking for. Not this one, presumably, but another book.
Yes. You mean like the other book that you carry?
Well, something like that book, I suppose, is probably what he's looking for, yes. Yeah.
Well, then I suppose it's good if we keep you away from him for the time being. We don't think he'll take a chance assaulting the city. The city's guards and wards should... I gotta get his voice right. The city's guards and wards should keep us in a good position overall. But the scouts are going to be a bit of a problem. The other issue has much to do with the goings-on of the South that you're aware of. We would like to delve further into there and see if we can find additional information. Maybe get a party in there to investigate what lies deep within. But I'm not quite sure we have a crew good enough to do that. Perhaps you've improved in your skills over the last few journeys, but I have my worries there that perhaps it's not enough quite yet. But I want to leave this up to you to make the decision about, not me.
It's between the two of those?
The three. You can either try to figure out what's going on to the west with the dragon, take this book to... I'm sorry, I did not give you the details. Take this book to Wasser, and see if you can find someone there that can translate it. Or head south to get more reconnaissance.
Well, if you don't mind me asking, what do you know about the ebb?
I know it would be a bad idea to send you all to Wasser on foot. We could probably teleport you some distance outside of it, and you could walk the rest of the way. But I would not suggest we teleport you directly there. Rumors are that it has gotten much worse there than it has before.
Yes, the ebb seems to be impacting it more, which should have made more sense to me yesterday, but seems to be making more sense as to why we would not be able to be teleported in there. The roads around there are dangerous, are they not?
There are no real roads. You would travel in over the waterways. Wasser prides itself on being difficult to reach. It is supposed to be part of the proving yourself as a wizard or other spellcaster to arrive there.
Any particular gods we would need to be proving ourselves to if we're traveling over waters?
These are smaller waters, not Deshrid's realm.
Good to know.
Gulran, you're rather quiet today. Is something wrong?
I'm just thinking, you mentioned Pyre, the creature. I jump at the chance to get revenge on it, but I fear we are not ready yet to take on such a beast. But I don't want to endanger the city by leaving as well.
The city's guards and wards should be fine for at least a while more. I have my worries a little bit, but we may sustain some damage, but I don't think we'll lose lives. At least not to the creature itself. My bigger worry is the scouts getting entangled with some people that might not heed the warnings that we keep telling them to stay away from the west. People get stubborn and they still try to make trips, even when they shouldn't.
Well, my vote is for putting a delay or a stone in Pyre's plans, so if we could take out his scouts or do anything, capture one and question them, I'd vote for that. But I don't know what the rest of you feel.
Well, understand that we believe that will agitate him.
And I'd rather not be investigated by Pyre again, especially given that he's probably gone back to the city and has, for lack of a better term, spoken to James. So, sure, he's probably none too happy with the book not being there.
Well, if the four of you think you can, at least put some sort of interference there, it would be worth looking into, but I do worry that it will mean having to potentially engage with Pyre himself.
What about getting this book to Wasser? It's so they can hopefully translate it, correct?
Yes, that should give us an advantage on a number of things here that we believe. This book has a lot of history in it. So our hopes is maybe it has details about this creature, perhaps it has details about what is going on to the south, perhaps it has other secrets. We know it has some very important history locked within it. But until we get to that history, we can't know exactly what it will how it will benefit us.
I see. I think Ryan's frozen.
He's just really good at holding that position. Nia brings up a good point. I think perhaps this book is our best path forward to finding a solution to our problem with Pyre.
At the very least, we would not be directly confronting Pyre, so perhaps we won't agitate him further, but we may learn other secrets that would allow us to defend Knightsbridge against him.
Yes, I agree. I think this is our best path forward. What say you, Antaeus, Ivy? Do you want to help bring the book to this place on the river?
Yes, I think that would be the best option. Especially sending us further from Pyre at the moment would seem to be a good idea. For me personally, at least.
Well, keep in mind that this isn't a requirement. I can't always send other people out to that area, but I do feel the book would be best in the possession of the four of you. I have people I think could probably do the scouting to the south, although I expect they won't be able to engage. They'll need to return rather quickly if anything goes wrong. But if you are not going to investigate into Pyre, I think we will hold back plans with Pyre. Accept whatever losses we have to accept. If you don't think you're ready, I don't think we have the people to be ready.
Yes,
or at
I
least
think
not the people that be willing to take the action, I should say.
Yes, I think it'd be best, at least in my opinion, to put that off for a little while if we can, especially if he is in search of the book and does find it. I worry greatly as to what that could mean for the entire country, to be honest.
Perhaps the book contains some of the creature's weaknesses, since I understand that knowledge of this creature has been stricken, forgotten. Perhaps this is why he craves this book back.
Well, that book might, but actually more so speaking of the other book, the one that was lost but now is found. I think that's the one he was looking for anyways.
He is looking for the book that you carry, Antaeus.
Ah, yes.
This book
yes.
I don't know that he knows about yet, but I'm sure if he knew about it, he would have interests. At least I can only imagine. If it's interested in one book, it's probably interested in a book that is equally as valuable.
Virtually indecipherable. Virtually.
Perhaps not to him.
That's what I worry about.
Well, then Wusser it is?
I believe
Hey,
so. Yes.
I can have somebody get you there in as quickly as you'd like.
And when you say outside of the city, about roughly how far outside of the city?
You're going to be probably about 3 or 4 miles outside of the city.
Better than I expected.
all right.
We want to make sure you'll make it, so you need to be within an area that you could follow a specific direction and get there.
Will they be expecting us, or do we have a contact there?
They will not be expecting you. Messages do not send well to Wusser any further. They seem to either get lost or come out scrambled.
Will they be cooperative, or do we need to...
That we're aware of, everyone should still be cooperative. It's simply influencing magic in weird ways. It does not seem to be influencing minds.
Fair enough.
Could we take the rest of the day to prepare and perhaps leave in the morning?
If that is your wish. It is a lot of lost time, but if you have things you need, I suppose that's fine.
With this new knowledge, I would like to pray for some new spells, so I believe it important.
Very well.
Well, if that's the case, do we actually have a contact in Wusser?
No.
Nobody at all?
You'll need to find somebody that works within Wusser. There is a very large establishment of wizards that has been doing a large amount of research into historical texts that have to do with the arcane, languages of the times long, long ago, and on creatures that are believed to have once existed. This place would be the place to start looking.
But no names or anybody in particular.
Unfortunately not. We're not directly connected in any way to the people there. They tend to keep to themselves. While they follow the laws of the country, they don't seem to care to interact with the rest of it. Easily tellable by their terrible name.
Are there places to stay there, or?
Oh yes, there will be plenty of places that you'll be able to stay for as long as you need to. That shouldn't be an issue. In fact, this should cover that, and he'll give you guys about 200 gold to cover any stay and food.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions before we wrap up here?
And how long, are we going to get a teleport back, or would we need to,
You should be able to find someone that will be able to teleport you back while you're there.
Worst case scenario, can I send you some words to request a pickup?
Sure. Once you get far enough outside of Wusser, you should be able to do that.
Excellent. We'll mark the spot our friend leaves us at so we have a point of reference.
There is already a mark there. We have put an anchor there just to be safe. Whenever we need to send someone out there, we do have the ability. That anchor will bring us to that specific point, even if you're a little off.
Anything in particular we should be concerned about while trying to make it into the city?
I would be concerned about casting any spells the closer you get to the city. They might have unforeseen consequences.
Even
No,
if we're far away, but perhaps magical scouting out near the city may cause the same effect.
You may take whatever chances you wish to, but know that the ether that flows is tainted, twisted. You take a chance on yourself with every spell you cast.
Well, speaking of which, you haven't we haven't been able to do much research on the ether around there, have we?
It's not our place to research it. We're way out here.
Well, I was considering that if we were going out that way, that I would try to find something that would be able to contain some of the ether for research purposes. I don't know if that would be...
Are you thinking about
valuable.
running a fool's errand, Antaeus?
Well, I didn't want to... I just wanted to get a little bit of it and see how it would...
I would suggest you make sure your friend has a leash on him. Otherwise, he might end up a remnant of time, splatter on the sand.
A remnant of time? It's that dangerous?
No one has ever come back from trying to snag a piece of the ebb. No one.
Oh.
Yes, Antaeus, let's keep our minds focused on our task.
In my defense, that was not something that I had read about in the books that I've seen, so that is good to know.
That's what happens when you just don't roll quite enough.
I'll make sure to check that off on my list then. Thank you for that information.
Give me a sense motive there, though. I want to make sure that the two of you are on the same page, or that you know if the two of you are on the same page.
Oh, my gauge check is not good.
I know. Yep. Okay.
Wow! What is that, my fifth one tonight?
It's alright.
That's fine. That's very fitting of the character, so...
Candor's got to have that save, so...
God. I do have some points saved up.
Do you have any idea or expect if there should be danger between the anchor point and the city? Should we be expecting to have to fight our way in at all?
With that close, it should be very unlikely. Not much would dare to journey in that close, but it's not entirely unlikely.
And at the anchor point, are we safe to cast and it's only risky past that point?
Yes, the closer beyond the anchor point that you get, the more the risk increases.
But we could be fairly safe that if we cast something at the anchor point that it's probably going to be okay?
Yes, in theory. Unless there's more changes to the ebb that we're unaware of.
Oops,
Okay.
sorry.
I was gonna say, was Gul'ran supposed to make a sense motive too, Steve?
No,
or-
that was a gauge just for you.
Okay, sorry, I misheard
Because that
you
was
then.
your interaction with him.
Are we all ready for tomorrow then?
I will make preparations.
I suppose so. Do a little more research and see if I can find anything else about the city before we go there.
Excellent.
Okay.
Actually, one more thing. Magical items. Would that be a no-go as well, or...
Items we haven't, that I'm aware of, items might have some of their functionalities changed or modified, but they seem to be a bit more controlled since they pull their arcana from themselves more than they pull it from the outside.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome. And yeah,
Yes, that means
you all
chips.
can't... Oh, that's the wrong... I clicked the wrong button. You all can take your leave and do your prep. So what stuff do you guys want to prepare for? Get for preparations and do in preparation?
Mostly Guron just wanted to switch up some spells.
Okay.
which I have done.
And Niev, you wanted to unload your fridge?
Yes, I wanted to donate the food. I kind of was thinking of, just I wasn't sure if I gave it to Zigmar, if Zigmar's like, oh yeah, I just got a bunch of food, or if he would truly like give it out to the community. So, I wasn't sure about that.
So
I don't think he has a need
Ivy,
to keep that.
you would have some insight into this, in
in
an indirect way. So Zigmar's is the type of person that is like all about doing good things for people. He is like very much so into doing better things for people, but so long as it's him that's getting the credit for doing the better things for people. He is motivated to be exceptional, but that motivation is purely self-indulgent. And so you could give the food to him and it would end up in good hands, but you would get literally zero of the credit for it. Or you would have to work to get him to give you any credit for it. Otherwise, it would be like, look at all this food that I'm sharing out here. Look at what a great guy I am. Look at what I'm doing for all of you.
Maybe there's a reason that we get along so well.
Yeah, if Niev like says anything about like whether or not she should give it to Zigmar, I'd be like, well, I'm sure he'd actually share it with his community as long as you don't mind him taking credit for it.
All right. I mean, I don't really need credit. I just wanted to help people that, might need some food.
Sure, just making sure you're aware that he would share it, but he'll take credit for it. So I don't know your intentions or motives, but that's just something to be aware of.
I mean, if this was Brianna, she would be going to like Nico, but since Niev doesn't know any of that, then she knows Zigmar is over there, so that's who she's gonna go to.
So you can donate it to Zigmar and his goblins, and they will be very appreciative. They'll make sure it gets into the hands of people that need it.
Right, that's mainly what I wanted to do. I was thinking that we were possibly going to have to camp, and so I realized that for whatever reason I don't have a bedroll on my sheet. But if we're going to be able to stay in the city, then I won't necessarily need to get it right now. So,
all right. Antaeus, you wanted to try to get some info on the city of Wasser?
Yeah, I suppose I will refrain from trying to collect any ether from the site as well. It seems he seems in his best interest not to be forgotten to time.
I mean, weird stuff can happen. Maybe that's the extreme. Maybe that's the likely thing. You never know.
That seems like a very dangerous thing. Even
you got to remember what Miss Frizzle said. Take chances, make mistakes, get messy. The best sex advice I've ever been given.
Get your face messy. Yeah, something about that, right?
Exactly.
But I suppose I'll be doing. Oh
no, go ahead.
I suppose I'll be doing some research into. Well, I guess it would be however knowledge local. I don't know if that would be applicable, but I would try to be finding any potential people within the city that we could look for that would seemingly be willing to ally with us. Like, no evil people or anything like that, but like, somebody that would be willing to work with us.
Sure. So that's going to be a knowledge local with you not having any knowledge of the location. So it's going to be an exceptionally high check.
All right. Well, I suppose that for today, I'll go ahead and, I guess I'll, and, oh my, wow.
I can always count on your dice.
Hey, at least I got a couple of twos. I didn't know if I'd be able to like study at the library at all or anything like that.
The library doesn't have info about people from Wasser.
I figured it was a long shot.
Right.
ultimately, I was trying to see if there was any way that if there was anybody in there that we'd be able to make contact with, and that I'd be able to make contact with tonight to see how that is affected
Yeah,
by.
unfortunately, the 16, that is not enough.
Yeah,
It is a place that you know is very unwilling to like talk to the outside world, that keeps a lot of its secrets to itself, and is heavily influenced by like magic that is disrupting communication. These three things combined are a recipe for like if this place were to disappear off the map, no one would probably know for years.
There's not even an elected official there, or
There's no
not that I'm
details about it.
knowing of. Interesting. Huh.
It is. Give me a knowledge religion here. That is a good knowledge religion. That actually is a knowledge religion that runs a chill up your spine. Not down, up. This is the kind of thing that's so secretive that there is only one person who would probably be able to help maintain this level of secrecy.
Oh, that's concerning that you'd call him a person.
Well, once he was. Perhaps still is. One thing. One belief.
I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Interesting. Well, I suppose the rest of the day I'll just kind of think about what to do for there, and kind of do like the normal day-to-day stuff and keep up with business a little bit.
Okay.
And then I don't know, I'm assuming in the morning, without having said anything, that we're gonna go just meet up at Niev's place, but I suppose I'll double check with her first, because I guess we didn't necessarily go over where we were meeting up at, unless we have a specific spot. But yeah.
Okay.
Other than that, nothing important.
All right. In the morning, you can all meet for breakfast again.
Before that, I would like to talk to Antaeus.
Yeah.
Before sleeping. Antaeus.
Yes.
When I was previously a follower to Shot, she allowed me these abilities that were illegal in Knightsbridge, but do you know if it's illegal everywhere?
Scrying?
Yes. Any scrying magic? Is it
Scrying
all
is illegal in the country. You don't need to roll for that. Scrying is 1000% illegal in the country.
Well, I guess what exactly constitutes as scrying in this?
Yeah, like
case?
what's like? Is it
so using magic that allows you to see into places that your physical eyes couldn't see from the position they're in. So spells like prying eyes can be used, but you need to get a license for it, and you need to have very, very specific circumstances by which you're using them. Clairvoyance, the literal scrying spell, variations of that, like things that allow you to see places that you can't see, need some form of license in order to use.
What?
You know the penalty of such a crime? How do they know you're doing it?
With the knowledge law 29, you will know that there is a sort of filter that exists in the world, and when you cast a spell that is of divinatory nature, you create a level of ping based on the level of the spell and the type of spell and some of the subsets of the spell to where you are. So there is like an indicator that somewhere in this major area there was a divinatory spell cast, and of this specific subgenre, and of this specific level.
Was there a specific spell you were looking for, or?
Based on your description, it seems like this spell would not be allowed to be used, so I will refrain from memorizing it tomorrow, or praying for it.
Which spell, if you don't mind me asking?
River Sight. I planned on dipping my hand in the rivers that we'd be near and seeing what's going on in the city ahead of us, but it sounds like that will not fly.
Let me read this spell real quick, hold on. Oh yeah, it literally is scrying as the sub.
Yeah.
Is there any way that we'd be able to potentially get
A license?
license for this type of spell specifically?
Yeah,
'Cause it doesn't seem
you
to
could
be
easily
as-
get a license for this specific spell.
Because it's not as like all seeing as scrying would be.
No, you've good knowledge of it. Basically what you're doing is it's kind of like the inverse of accepting it's like getting a Foid card. What you're doing is you're basically telling them at some point I'm going to have something that could be damaging to other people or could give me access to other people's information that I shouldn't have access to. And if I come across this information, then I may be subject to whatever the ramifications of having that information are, based on privacy laws.
Okay. I'll kind of give him the gist of how to go about getting that. Because this definitely seems like it's more limited in scrying than like actual scrying and all that. So it seems like it'd be easier to obtain something like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are some very powerful things that you can do with this. This would let you see information from within a port. You could easily see like what any ships that are going to move along the water are going to be. You could see whatever people are doing around the waterways. There are a number of things that this would give you the ability to see, because it allows you to view 2 miles per caster level of waterways.
Oh, yep, sure does. Would that be something that, speaking to the ministry, we would be granted some lenience if they know we're out there doing this?
Yeah, if you had a reason to travel along the river. But they're not planning to drop you off in the river. They're planning to drop you off to the west of the city.
Gotcha.
Are you
so we're
guys
not
wanting
actually...
to change the plan and go up the river and then down the river and then around the river and then through the river to grandmother's
No,
house?
I think I also misunderstood then, because I thought that we would still have to go up some kind of waterways to get in there.
Nope. They had said you'll walk the remaining couple of miles into town. They meant walk. They didn't mean walk to a boat and then get in a boat and then float in.
I think I combined the two things by accident then in that case. But
yeah, any time you want to use these abilities, you can use them. You just need to take out a license for it.
I'll go ahead and pass along the needed information to go about getting that license and all of that.
Yeah.
Do you think it's worth it?
Well, could be, but I don't know if we'll even be by a water.
Well, I assume they're not going to teleport us near the ebb, so I assumed we'd be somewhere in this area, and we just simply walk to the river to... I mean, we can ask to be put closer to the river, and then walk along the river if we need to.
Actually,
They said they have a specific anchor that they're going to be taking.
This is like
us
4
to.
miles from the city. They're only putting you a couple of miles outside of the city. They're not putting you way out here. They wouldn't put you at that kind of risk. They're putting you like just outside of the city at the furthest point, at the closest point they can to be able to bring you in.
Is the whole city surrounded by water, or?
No, okay, yeah. Never mind. This sounds like making things too complicated. I think we're going to be able to see what's going on anyway when we're teleported in.
Yes. Well, at least you're aware for future reference about how some of the scrying stuff works.
Mm-hmm.
Could be useful in the future.
Yep, I may want to use these spells eventually. Thank you for the information, Andreas.
No problem.
How does the interaction when you're doing a spell storing, like, is the spell mostly cast when you store it?
You are literally casting the spell into the thing, so the spell is inside of the thing, and it is just doing the actual execution of the spell upon hit.
So, what did they explain to us? Like, is it the physically casting of the magic, or just using of magic too close to the ebb that causes issues?
It's kind of unclear.
Okay.
But we have reason to believe that using magic from an item, there's potentially less risk. But in that instance, I'm not 100% sure if that qualifies for that anyways. Because, well, you wouldn't be drawing it. You don't draw it from the from the like the ley lines of the earth or anything from it at that point. Well, you do when you initially cast it, right, Steve?
Correct.
So theoretically, it would be less dangerous if she did spell store prior to going in there than if she tried to use it.
Correct, because the energy is in the item and not inside of her, as part of the channeling of it.
Okay. Well, it's all theoretical, but yes, if everything works the way that we think that it would be best to do that furthest from the city as possible.
I also want to ask Antaeus, like, since I don't really know much about this continent, this country, I want to ask, so this place, this Wasser, is it like really hot? Should I prepare a spell to help us, be able to walk without really having to worry about being too hot?
It is a desert.
That is a good point. I had not actually thought about that ahead of time, but yes, typical desert temperatures as far as I'm aware.
I was really excited about the idea of you guys going out to the desert in your regular clothes and then being like, holy shit, it's hot out here.
I do appreciate you mentioning that, because I had absolutely forgotten to switch to Endure Elements before going to sleep tonight, so thank you for that. But yes, I would say that be prepared for very warm weather. Hopefully nothing too damaging, but yes.
Well, thankfully I'm able to create water if we should need some. Although we probably might want to do that closer to the anchor point.
True. Very, very true. Prepare that for tomorrow. Yes, the further away, probably the better. Well, I am very interested to see how this interacts with this, but it's neither here nor there.
Right? Are you all ready?
Did Goron think to give Ivy a cheat sheet, or is he not thinking about that at all?
Do you want me to physically give it to you, or do you?
No, I just need to know if you give her any information.
Yeah, I said I was.
Okay, I just didn't know how soon.
That night, like you asked.
Okay.
I don't know if you want like a knowledge religion for like how well Goron can.
Yeah, give me a knowledge religion.
Oh, I should.
All right, it's a fairly base level rundown of the gods.
When I get to Thoth, I'll just say Thoth equal bad. No touchy.
Thoth equals secrets equal bad.
Yeah.
All right.
I just like to outline.
Super helpful.
Super
helpful.
Yeah. So, does anybody have anything they want to do before sleep?
I would just maybe remind Antaeus that we'll have to meet up at our normal breakfast spot because I don't literally have any food in my.
Yes, good point.
Other than that, I'm making sure I'm, faithfully watering my armor.
Okay.
I will do the same as I did last night. I'll try to play around a little more in the dreamscape to get some like feel for it.
Yep. Let's move to the next morning. Everybody can prepare their spells, get their rest done.
Indeed.
And
I am going to spell store a frigid touch for emergencies.
Okay. The ebb is already here.
Dang.
God.
Luckily, I switched spells to immunity from ebb.
No. You can't because you're still in the circle, sucker.
True. Goron never left the circle. This is all a dream. Oh.
Jeez.
This is the fever dream he had while he was unconscious.
Yeah, so you guys can get prepped, have breakfast.
I will prepare an extract to keep with me.
Okay. And then meet back at the ministry office. You'll meet with that familiar spellcaster that you met before that does not wish to share his name. Well, are all of you ready to go?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Let's get you out of here. Suppose this part's necessary, and he'll extend his hands to all of you.
Hunter goes up and starts licking his hands.
Not that thing.
I'm not touching that hand.
I will take that hand.
Okay.
And I will touch Hunter.
Yeah. And you will all feel the world disappear around you. Things become very, blurry for a moment, and then as things kind of settle back in, you are surrounded by desert, save the stone that rests beneath your feet.
Before we had left from breakfast, I would have, if it's possible, I would have liked to have mentioned that there's only one way that something as secretive as this place could exist, theoretically, without there being any information on it. And it might be related to a certain deity, although that's about as much as I can tell.
Keep your wits about you.
Yes, it's the bad deity, Ivy, the one that no touching.
And all of you...
Bad touch deity?
And all of you can see...
Our mistress.
All of you can see a faint bit of the city far off in the distance. But the desert surrounds you, and the heat is hot.
I will have everyone gather around, and I'm going to cast Communal Ender Element.
I'll forfeit my time.
Yeah. So I guess we'll split it between the three of us and Hunter. And the hedgehog.
Yes, please. Keep my hedgehog alive, please.
Okay, so
your spell is fine.
My poor little spiky friend.
24 hours. Alright.
Yeah. You cast the Endure Elements, and you start to make your way towards Usir.
I actually have a couple of other spells I want to cast.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Get those dice ready.
Well, they've been
I'm
ready.
gonna...
Alright, I want to cast Deadeye's Lore.
That is fine.
Alright, and then I also want to cast Lay of the Land.
That music shift was perfect.
Right, that seemed very spooky.
You cast Lay of the Land, and let's see how this works. You... Hold on a sec. Holy shit. You feel something look back at you as you cast Lay of the Land. Something in the distance, something in the sand before you. Give me one sec, I have to pull it up. You feel the eyes of a creature large in size, quizzical in nature. And you feel that it longs to meet you. And as you feel that, you are no longer there. And we'll find out why next week.
She learned teleport. She's left us.
Good night,
Traitor.
everyone.